Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be checking out Forspoken on my RTX 4090. Specifically, I want to test FSR 3 on an nvidia card. So I'm going to be doing it at 4K we've got here. We've actually got VSync on. I'm going to switch that off first. Graphically, we're going to play with everything maxed out. So we've got settings-wise here, high or ultra-high. Initially, FSR, I'm going to have it switched off just so we can see the frame rate without it. But yeah, everything high or maxed. Ray tracing here is on as well. Both these settings here. So let's check that out. Okay, so it's looking like we're getting around about 60-ish. Right now we're just under 60. So not amazing performance. It looks like at 4K at least. We'd kind of hover around the 60 area. We've got about 13.5 gigs of VRAM. Not too bad considering we've got ray tracing on. Obviously not full ray tracing, but graphics in this game are kind of all over the place. Sometimes they look pretty good, sometimes they don't look so good. But it doesn't play too badly at native without any of the upscaling. This game does actually have DLSS, but it doesn't have DLSS 3, so power consumption on my GPU, 350, so even natively, that's actually not too bad. We'll see how much it comes down when we switch FSR 3 on. If it comes down at all. Obviously, using DLSS, you'd often at times see that come down a bit. We'll check the flame out, because that always drops my frames. Look, 48, 45. That always just wrecks my FPS. Right, so let's have a look at it with FSR 3 on. So if I switch that on here, we'll go quality, FSR, and then we've got frame generation on here. See what kind of frame rate we get with that. So over doubling our frames from where we are here. 60, we had about 60 to 65, we've gone up to 140, 145, which is pretty incredible. For the kind of rough average that I saw when I had a look at Immortals of Avium, seemed like FSR 3 is getting about 10 to 15 FPS more than DLSS 3. Latency feels, I can't tell, feels the same. So that's not really a problem, which we thought it might be on NVIDIA cards. Might be a problem because we can't use anti-lag like we can with AMD cards, but obviously NVIDIA has its own reflex, which seemed like in Immortals of Avium you can switch that on and off. I didn't see the setting for it in this game, so I don't know whether it's just on by default or it doesn't seem to be a setting for it. Because normally that's automatically enabled when you turn DLSS 3 on. But overall, pretty impressed with it. The only thing that kind of looks off is the frame time. Now, I know we were advised to have VSync on, which I know I had that off, but if I switch that on, but we didn't seem to, it doesn't seem to really make much of a difference to it. So we've still got that super choppy frame time. Which kind of makes the game, although we're running at 130, 140 FPS, it kind of makes the game feel like I'm not quite running at those frames. Like, it doesn't feel like we're running at those frames. Looks like our VRAM has crept up a little bit from where we were at native. GPU power's pretty much stayed about the same at 350 by the looks of it. CPU usage is about the same, 15%. So it doesn't seem to affect that as much as DLSS 3 does. DLSS 3 changes those stats a little bit. Normally increases the CPU usage, Frame generation, especially on nvidia, increases VRAM usually. So frame generation normally on nvidia increases the VRAM, but you normally see CPU usage go up a bit as well with DLSS, and oftentimes GPU usage comes down, but for us here it actually looks like it's gone up from 95% to 99%, so... Okay, so I've now actually just capped the frame rate in Rivatuner statistics, so it looks like that has fixed my frame time. Still kind of stutters a little bit, and it's a little bit choppy still, but it's obviously a lot better than it was. So I think that's definitely the recommendation, is to try and cap the frames. Not that it causes me any latency difference, but just for that frame time. I know AMD, I think, recommend to... I think they've said put a VSync on, but for me, that doesn't seem to fix it. The only fix is to actually cap the FPS outside of the game. Okay, so I'm now just going to take a look with FSR at native AA. So effectively, we're running natively without any render resolution scaling. We've just got frame generation on. 4K with everything maxed out still, like we had before, to see roughly... I've capped it at 144, but that doesn't seem to have fixed it. Seems like sometimes it fixes it, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm feeling quite a bit of latency with this. A lot more latency than we had before. Obviously the image quality looks better. Then it doesn't really look bad with quality, to be honest. But obviously this, you get the benefit of it, of no resolution scaling at all. So I'd say it looks a little bit sharper, not massively, but you do have that option at least if you did want to play natively. And you technically just get the benefit of the anti-aliasing, which, in my opinion, doesn't really make so much of a difference at 4K. So, not necessarily something that I'd use at 4K, I don't think. I'd be more interested in using it at 1080p or 1440p. I think oftentimes it can make the image look a bit better with the anti-aliasing. Gonna have to get the fire out. These things are so powerful. Okay, and then now I'm just going to have a look with Ultra Performance just to see the kind of absolute max FPS that we can get. So we're still at 4K ray tracing, frame generation on. So how many, let's see how many we can get in total. So we're getting about 190. So potentially just going to, maybe you could break 200, but I think for the most part maybe just under. I've obviously had to uncap the FPS again here, so the frame time is looking dodgy. I'm noticing definitely the kind of balanced performance and ultra performance settings on FSR 3. The image, like the image scaling, still isn't amazing in my opinion. You can definitely tell there's quite a lot of quality loss, I think, at the especially performance and ultra performance. I can't really tell exactly in comparison to FSR 2, but I think we need it maybe in a couple more games. But I definitely would probably avoid using this at 4K. I think FSR quality may be balanced at a push if you have to, but anything below that I'd try and avoid. Obviously impressive FPS, but I don't think the trade-off of the quality is quite worth that FPS. Especially the fact that I'm only on a 144Hz monitor anyway, so for me it's kind of pointless to actually to be playing with 200 FPS. But it's definitely cool to see what it can do. think overall, so far, pretty impressed with FSR 3. We obviously need it in more games, really. I definitely want to try it out in Cyberpunk. I think that'll be a big test, that one. But definitely huge benefit, I think, especially for older GPUs. Even in nvidia's 30 series. I think there's definitely a benefit for those cards. And I honestly can't really tell too much of a difference between performance on an AMD card and an nvidia card. Seems very much the same. Pretty much the same FPS gain. And even performance-wise, latency, all of this feel pretty much the same to me on both, which is good. That's going to be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video, drop me a comment, let me know what you think of FSR 3 so far, and I'll catch you next time.